books. This weekend's Turin derby will pit Juventus against the heirs of perhaps the greatest Italian club side ever, Il Grande Torino, a team that set records still standing today and that until the day tragedy finally overcame them, proved quite simply unbeatable. Johnny Gould now reports.
On May the 4th, 1949, a plane carrying 30 passengers crashed here at the Superga Basilica on the outskirts of Turin. There were no survivors. On board the plane were all the players and coaches of the new champions of Italy, Torino. The team was returning home after playing in a benefit match in Lisbon. At the time, Torino were the darlings of Italy, a glamorous and successful side which had caught the nation's imagination. Their loss left Turin heartbroken. 300,000 fans turned out on the streets to pay their last respects. It was the saddest day in the history of Italian football. They were known as Il Grande Torino, the Great Torino. Despite the crash, they'd already won the 1949 championship with 4 games to go, their 5th consecutive Scudetto.
They won 5 championships in a row, but with the interruption of the war, so you can easily imagine that the record of 5 should be increased.
Sports writer Giampaolo Ormezzano grew up in Turin in the 40s, and he well remembers the impact of that team.
They had a big individual class, they made a group, they were well paid, and they were all full of the sentiment to represent Italy in some way, in some new way.
Italy in the 1940s was a country in need of positive role models. After suffering under fascist rule, the nation was on its knees by the end of World War II. In an atmosphere of grinding poverty, sport, and football in particular, was the only entertainment. Torino president Ferruccio Novo responded to that need by recruiting a team of stars. Valentino Mazzola and Ezio Loic, record signings from Venezia. Guglielmo Gabetto, pinched from Juventus, and Romeo Menti, signed from Fiorentina, all talented young men who enchanted the city of Turin.
Perché erano ragazzi che vivevano nella città, cioè li incontravi nei bar, nella strada, nei cinema. Non erano delle entità divine che si materializzavano la domenica pomeriggio per sparire e per non condividere con la gente la vita della città.
Franco Ossola had dedicated his life to the study and research of Il Grande Torino. For him, it's been a personal quest.
Sì, sono ricordi di quando ero piccolo, mediati attraverso la figura di mia madre e alle tante immagini, alle fotografie che erano disseminate in tutta la casa. E poi non c'era giorno che si uscisse e si incontrasse della gente che ricordava le imprese del Grande Torino e soprattutto quelli di Franco Ossola, mio padre, che era l'ala sinistra di questa straordinaria squadra. Perché non avendo mai conosciuto mio padre, ho immaginato che questo fosse anche, ed è stato così, un modo importante, profondo, intimo anche, di conoscerlo insieme a tutti i suoi compagni.
Ossola has no doubts his father's team would rank among the best.
Mi spiace dirlo, potrebbe essere la Juventus di questi anni o il Milan di Cappello e Sacchi di qualche anno fa, il Real Madrid della metà degli anni 50, piuttosto che l'Ajax degli anni 70, quindi una squadra estremamente competitiva non solo sul campo nazionale ma a livello internazionale.
When Italy played Hungary in 1947, all 10 outfield players were from Torino, and they still managed to beat a strong Hungarian team 3-2. Valentino Mazzola, captain, goalscorer and star player for the club and country, was the chief inspiration. For fans of a certain age, Mazzola was simply the best Italian player of all time.
Listen, I had the pleasure to see all the matches that Great Torino played in Torino. We had no money in my family to go out after the war. Well, we had in every match the sensation, the feeling that in every time of the match, Valentino Mazzola could change the result, of course, in favor of Torino.
Today, the Mazzola name is once again linked with Torino. Sandro Mazzola, Valentino's son, became general manager last year. Sandro is one of the few players to successfully follow in their father's footsteps, winning 70 caps and 2 European Cups with Inter. Until now, he's deliberately steered clear of his father's old club and the memories associated with the crash.
Credo che la mia mente abbia cancellato tutta una parte, questa prima parte della mia vita, proprio per non soffrire. Io quello che ricordo di mio padre sono dei piccoli flash di io bambino che vestito da calciatore andavo al campo d'allenamento, dei calciatori che mi trattavano un po' tutti come figlioccio, oppure di quando andavo in giro per Torino con mio padre e non mi rendevo conto del perché la gente lo fermasse, e avevo anche paura perché piccolino mi trovavo circondato dalle persone e mi afferravo alla sua mano per sentire una certa sicurezza. Direi che questo fatto di questa mano che mi dava sicurezza è il ricordo più nitido che ho di quel periodo della mia vita.
Last year's encounter with Juventus was a one-off friendly, Torino having been relegated to Serie B for the 3rd time in 10 years. Despite their return to the top flight, they're now a club which struggles to keep up with the elite. The old Philadelphia Stadium, once Torino's great fortress, is now a ruin. While Manchester United successfully rebuilt after the Munich air crash, it sometimes seems as if Torino never really recovered from the 1949 disaster. They lacked a Busby or a Charlton to lift the club from the wreckage. But unlike Munich, there were no survivors at Superga. For Torino, the club and their fans, the loss was just too great. That's where we'll leave the tragic Superga story.